now turn up.
Welcome, what up? It is Marcus with Dynasty Football Dads, and you know what we're doing here today. It is the early declare versus the non-early declare wide receivers. What to do? Is there a difference? And I will tell you, there is. So keep around for that. But if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. We're giving away a Jerry Jeudy signed free jersey. Kevin B has a 20% chance of winning it. We're going to pick 4 others that are subscribers to have. We're going to spin the wheel and see who wins. All you have to do is be a subscriber for a chance to win, and it could be you. All right, we're going to be doing wide receivers. Let's just go through the last 10 years. And these are drafted players. There's been 313 of them. We are going to be doing early declare versus non-early declare. Some of the non-early declares this year that we need to note are a big key is Devontae Smith and Kadarius Toney. Those are big non-early declares, which means that they were seniors. They went their entire year, their entire career. They didn't go out as a junior like Jamar Chase or like Rashad Bateman, all these other wide receivers that, of course, are early declares. And you're going to see a lot more early declares this last couple of years versus previous, because these wide receivers are just, they're getting better and they're coming out early. They're coming out as redshirt sophomores, the juniors as well. So let's just look at total. 313 of them. You have a 21.73% chance. 21.7% chance that you're going to have a wide receiver 3+ or better finish. That is it. That is 1 out of every 5 wide receivers that are drafted. So that's rounds 1 through 7. And we'll go through rounds 1 and then a chunk of rounds 1 through 3, because those are important too, because a lot of these round 4, 5, 6, 7 players we know that aren't going to be great, and so that kind of skews it, you could say. 15% are going to be wide receiver 2+, so better than wide receiver 2 1 year, and then 8.3% of those wide receivers, 8.3% of drafted wide receivers in the last 10 years will be a wide receiver 1. What are the difference between early declare and non-early declare? Well, there's a big 26% gap for wide receiver 3s. There is a 25% gap for wide receiver 2s and 17% gap for wide receiver 1s. So you have a 2.3% chance. Think about that. That is 1 out of every 50 wide receivers that are non-early declares that are drafted, chance of being a wide receiver 1. So if you're looking at this just kind of as an overall perspective, the players like Denzel Mims of last year, Bryan Edwards, these are guys, even Brandon Ayuk, who is not a non-early declare. You're looking at wide receivers that are just going to have a less chance of being a wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. That's the differences, but let's get, you know what, honestly, that matters, but let's get into wide receivers drafted in rounds 1 through 3, because that is where we start getting into the nitty-gritty, what I call the deeper analytics of like, okay, how many wide receivers have been drafted? 123 over the last 10 years. So that's about 12.3 a draft class in the last in rounds 1 through 3. Where are we looking at? We're looking at about 43.9% of wide receivers hit that wide receiver 3 threshold. So a lot better. We're not talking about 1 out of every 5. We're talking about close to 2 out of every 5. So we're doubling our chances there. 32.5 are wide receiver 2 and better, and then 18.7 are wide receiver 1 and better. Those are good stats. We want to see that. We want to see about 1 every 5 wide receivers become a wide receiver 1 somewhere in their career, being drafted in rounds 1 through 3. You're putting a lot more draft capital through there, a lot more rookie capital through there, so you want to see that. The early declares and non-early declares are almost split even. So 64 and 59, which is a lot different than the 200, 100, because you're going to see a lot of early declares be drafted, I guess you could say, earlier, because that's why they're going out. They're not going to be going early declare and then getting drafted in round 7. That doesn't make any sense. At least they shouldn't. Where is the difference here, though? We look at wide receiver 3, 55% versus 30%, and then we look at wide receiver 2s, 43% versus 18%, and wide receiver 1s, 27% and 7%. That is a huge gap here. And so what that kind of tells me, if there's analytics, say rounds 1 through 3, that is where you need to draft your wide receivers, because when round 4 and on hits off, that's a huge gap and huge downward trend. Now it says if you have an early declare, you have a lot better chance of hitting on one of those wide receivers. So the 2 big things that you should be looking at are they an early declare or are they not? Like a Dwayne Eskridge is a non-early declare, versus like somebody who is maybe like Terrace Marshall or like even Amari Rodgers. Like, where are we putting some of these players? So far, We want an early declare top 3 round wide receiver. The stats are kind of like 50-50 that you're going to have wide receiver 3+. That's good. And we're talking even about 44%, which is a little less than half. I understand. It's close to half. We'll just say close to 0.5% chance that you're going to have a wide receiver 2 in your in their career. So that is a huge thing. If you just base off of that, I think you're going to end up hitting in rookie drafts a lot more. So 2 principles: rounds 1 through 3, those wide receivers are more important, and wide receivers that are early declares. So we're looking at wide receivers not like Kadarius Toney. That's why Kadarius Toney is so low on my board. First of all, I don't think his football game translates to the NFL. And there's a reason why Jamar Chase is slightly ahead of Devontae Smith. I love Devontae Smith. BMI worries me. He does have, I think part of the reason why he was down an early declare was the Alabama wide receiving core. Look at the core there. They had Jerry Jeudy, they had Henry Ruggs. They've had really good wide receivers for a long amount of time. So you're looking at, well, that could be why that could be why Devontae Smith has become a non-early declare. But there's still a chance for him. There's just less of a chance for him to become a wide receiver 1. You look at 6.7%, but it doesn't mean it doesn't happen. So we need to make sure that you can have. This is just we're playing the percentage, we're playing the odds game. Let's just go through rounds 1, because round 1 is Devontae Smith, it's Jamar Chase, it's Rashad Bateman, it's Jalen Waddle. Where are some of these? What is going on with these wide receivers? And you're going to see this big, huge 0 at one of these spots. So we're hoping it changes, but we have early declares. But first of all, there's been 34 receivers in the last 10 years, which is about average of 3.4. You have a 68% chance you're going to have a wide receiver 3+. You're going to have a 64% chance you're going to have a wide receiver 2+. That's awesome. So wide receiver, super important. And then you're going to have a 40% they're going to have a wide receiver 1 year. That is, if you just go that you're going to have a 2 out of 5 chance of having a wide receiver 1, at least a year into their career being a round 1 selection, that is so incredibly important, and that's why round 1 receivers are elite. But we look at now Kadarius Toney, Devontae Smith, both non-early declares. Where are they? There's been 9 of them, make that 10 and 11. But you have 44.4% of wide receiver 3s, 11% wide receiver 2s, that's a huge dip off, and 0 have been wide receiver 1. So we are looking for that unicorn. I guess the same reason why people like Kyle Pitts is they're expecting him to do things that that analytics don't support. That's the reason why we watch tape versus analytics. I like to do both. I am a very analytics-driven person. This sees me. It makes me worry. It puts a little red flag in my head and says if Devontae Smith doesn't work out, well, these are the things that we have to go back to. So if I see it again in 2-3 years and we see a prospect that looks amazing on tape, but analytics don't show, like if it's a non-early declare, if it's a first-round talent, then I need to put that in the back of my memory. And this is how you get better in Dynasty. You put years and years of these little tidbits in your head and you go, I have to remember these things, because if these are non-early declares, he's going to have a less chance. And if he's a non-early declare and he's a wide receiver, and if he's in round 1, there's actually a really good chance he's not going to be a successful person, and that's actually where you're looking bust. And there's a lot of things that say, hey, Devontae Smith could be a bust. But we're looking at the tape and going, Devontae Smith is the best wide receiver in this class, or at least I am. So we looked at the tape versus the analytics, and that is why he's still my wide receiver 2. I see that maybe the odds are better and that's why Jamar Chase is now wide receiver 1. He is put in a better situation, in my opinion, with a better quarterback and a lot more long-term quarterback. I don't know if Jalen Hurts is going to be the quarterback next year, 2 years, 3 years from now. So we look at analytics and we start looking and going, okay, Jamar Chase, early declare, you got a 40% chance. Rashad Bateman, same thing. Jalen Waddle, same thing. Wide receiver 1 chance, 40% chance. Wide receiver 2 chance, 64%. Those just show why they are so important, why they are so high up in these rankings, and why they are like wide receiver basically 1, 3, 4, and 5. There's a reason why some of these wide receivers that were drafted in round 1 and have the early declare title, and their tape backs it up too, is why they declared early. So I think we just have to remember these things, because honestly, we are looking for the 2 big unicorns that we're looking for. Actually, kind of 3, really, is Rondale Moore, his size. He's a 5'7" player. We don't see 5'7" players succeed at the NFL level, but he's an amazing 5'7" athlete. We have Devontae Smith, his BMI, his non-early declare. What is he going to do at the next level? We expect him to be the alpha at Philadelphia. Is that going to be true, happen? These are the big questions we're asking. And then Kyle Pitts, can he break all the tight end rookie records, because that is what everyone's expecting, and that's why he's being drafted at right now ADP of number 3 in rookie drafts. And that's for one QB. He's maybe 5'6" when it comes to super flex. So we have to look at these questions. And I know we might not see this again in like 2, 3, 4 years. We might not see some of these different questions pop up, but these are things that we're going to have to remember and go, what does the tape show? What do the analytics show? Are they battling together? What's happening? And analytics and stuff can change over time as well. So we need to make sure we keep up and see if these trends continue, or if this was, I mean, this is a 10-year gap. This is a huge gap in the NFL, and early declares will continue to move on. So will that deplete some of these numbers for the early declares, or will that just show that the early declares are better wide receivers at the next level? We shall see. But I hope you enjoyed this video. This is Marcus Dynasty Football Dads. We will see you tomorrow. Remember to subscribe. All right. Peace out.
Now turn up.